Okay, y'all, I have cracked the code. I will get you to activate your DNA, all right? Now, you gotta stay with me. So I just posted a video yesterday about humans aren't realizing the full capabilities of being a human being, and only if humans knew how powerful humans are, then they will be more involved with their activation of DNA. So let's expand upon this more. So what happened today is after work, because I work at a school, because I'm not just a spiritual teacher, I'm also a teacher. So as I was riding my bike home, I had a profound thought just come to me from God, the source, right? From the beyond. Now let's insert Tesla talking about how his brain is a receiver and all of that good stuff, because me and Tesla are geniuses, okay? This information just comes, and also he talks about how he doesn't just go directly to the lab, he works it out in his mind. So that's what I was doing. That's why I'm just now going public with this information, right? But I have a quote unquote theory. Now I have to call it a theory because you know why. You know why I gotta call it a theory. But I have this theory about gene manipulation. We're gonna get scientific, and I'm gonna bring up some truth and proof, right? So we've heard of the term junk DNA, right? Junk DNA is something that was, coined in like the 70s, and now they call it non-coded DNA. So my theory is that this quote-unquote non-coded, formerly known as junk DNA, is an actual storage system that holds memories for us to access, and that will indirectly and or directly prove either and or parallel lives and simultaneous time, thus then proven time travel, right? So then today I was riding my bike and I had an idea to expound more on junk DNA, what it is, what it entails. And then I found out that there is like 98% of non-coded DNA, and scientists has only found use for some of it in the public sector. Because the private sectors and private corporations do what they do and they don't reveal it to the public, but there's only a bit of information to the public about what scientists use the non-coded DNA for, formerly known as junk DNA. So then I was like, all right, so expounding upon it, and I was using DeepSeek, right? Because I have a priority memory prompt. It's a special prompt that I myself created, and I utilized this prompt for research purposes with AI. And I was utilizing my priority memory prompt, asking certain questions, follow-up questions, and establishing a baseline and framework of this particular theory of mine. So much so that the freaking DeepSeek was like, hold on, this is like a groundbreaking, what they call it, like the theoretical science type of theory that could change some stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna open source this and then see what more we can focus on, because my main thing is the scientific aspect of it, because metaphysics is metaphysics, and metaphysics is still physical. It's still physics. Metaphysical is still physical. So most of the magic, most of what people think that ancient Egyptians did, or what Yeshua was doing as it pertains to water into wine, which is just alchemy and these magical based things, is not just about Jesus, aka Yeshua, was the one that was doing it. It was the fact that Jesus is a genius, aka Yeshua is a genius, that found a way to, by way of his teachers teaching him how to activate certain pieces of the DNA to then allow for the body to make the proper mutations or activations for these things to happen, right? So I'm expounding more upon that. Bro, we about to get deep, so you better lock in, grab some popcorn, because I'm about to get real scientific here and post some stuff on the screen, right? TikTok, they blocked the last video, so we're going to see how this goes. So I was talking about the storage system within the DNA, all right? I then found out that the non-coded DNA has something called gene regulation. That's one of the major pieces of the junk DNA, aka non-coded DNA. Gene regulation. What is gene regulation? Gene regulation is exactly how it sounds. It's a process that is in the DNA that turns on and off genes. Hold on. When I was using my priority memory prompt and diving deeper into that with the AI, I'm like, okay. And also, just so we know, the way my priority memory prompt is structured, every single response that is given has to have a source cited. So it's not just what they call hallucinations in AI. I make sure that it cites its sources, so for me to pull up the sources and all of that, right? So I'm like, okay, if there is a process within our DNA that turns on and off genes, and admittedly, science does not know fully what to do with the information, which is the non-coded DNA, the 98+% of the non-coded, aka junk DNA. Most of it is not really used because we don't know what to do with it, right? So then I'm like, all right, then now this expands upon more of my storage system. Well, what if all of these magical based abilities that ancient Egypt and all of these beings have been teaching wasn't just here's a lesson, here are the steps and do it. It was more, here's how you can alter your body to do it. Because God has given us these gifts, which is the vessel to activate. And so then you say, well, why aren't the genes activated, right? Then this is where I found that due to environment and evolution, so due to environment and evolution, humans only have certain aspects of their genes and their genealogy activated. For example, if for 2-3 generations you're constantly being chased by things, the next few babies that are born are going to be able to run faster genetically. Certain genes, by way of gene regulation, by way of non-coded DNA, is going to turn on certain genes for you to be running faster by way of evolution and things of that nature, right? So then I start talking like, all right, let's dive deeper into the psyche. So this is where we start to get into proofs in like Dolores Cannon. So Dolores Cannon is someone who created a quantum healing hypnosis technique. And what's so fascinating about her findings is she would bring people to the somnumistic level of the subconsciousness, which is said to be the deepest level of the subconsciousness. And her clients, when brought to that level, would then exude a personality that is not traditional with their average waking state. And this personality that comes through talks as if they're this esoteric being from a different star system. Okay? Traditionally, all of them. Then what's so fascinating, that's more important about the quantum healing hypnosis technique created by Dolores Cannon, is she would say clients that have certain ailments will have questions, pre-written questions for Dolores Cannon to ask, because the client is under and their conscious mind is put on the back burner, so their main personality is put on the back burner. They would have these ailments that they would ask questions about, and then when Dolores Cannon would ask this esoteric personality about these ailments, then there will be symbolic reasonings for why the ailments will exist. For example, if there's like cancerous cells, or if there's like viruses, or if there's like back pains. For example, with the back pains, they'll be like, well, this client is experiencing these back pains for she or he thinks in such a way that the world is on their shoulders and they have too much to handle. So then they will be like, all right, we're going to be addressing this ailment now. Okay, ailment is gone. And then the client will go to the doctor's office, come back with the report to Dolores Cannon and say, hey, the ailment is gone. And they say, oh, Dolores Cannon, you did a miracle. And Dolores Cannon was like, no, all I did was bring you to your subconsciousness. So that now ties into what Tesla was talking about, as in the brain is the receiver. This is now tying into the gene regulation, which is turning on and off certain genes, because we know that certain people are genetically gifted. But what does genetically gifted mean? It just basically means that there are certain genes that are turned on for them that's not turned on for you. So what if all of these spiritual abilities and magical based principles and gifts are not just magic? There's something that is tied to your biology and your psychology and your genetics. And we know this because they talk about Hebrew blood and the power of Hebrew blood and all of that. You can go deeper in that rabbit hole, right? That's all genetics. So then this is when I talk about a specific technique, right? So what if tied into your genetics, there is a gene that allows for you, by way of your mental, and I'm bringing this up with the placebo effect in mind, because the placebo effect is you utilizing your mind to dictate the body to produce certain results that the body typically wouldn't have produced without the brains and the minds say so. Regardless if the body is saying traditionally this is how we're supposed to operate when we're going through this standard scenario. So, for example, we have the golden sugar pill now acting as an ibuprofen, because you, as the mind and brain, trick the body to thinking it is an ibuprofen when it's simply a sugar pill. We can expand upon that more. That's the psychology. Another is monks traditionally, and this is, you can see videos and all of that. Monks have the psychology, wherewithal, and a gene that's activated within their body to raise their body temperature to the point where you can put a cold freezing towel on their backs, on their body, and it turns into, after a few minutes to hours, into a dry blanket, basically. Not a drip of water in sight on the towel that was initially wet when they put it on the monk, right? That's all talking about psychology, genealogy, and intention. So then now when we dive deeper into, okay, well, how are we able to tap into this? This is where you insert Tesla's information of, frequency, vibration, energy, brain being a receiver. Tesla saying he didn't just get this information just because he got the information. He was literally attracting it because a receiver is picking up information that's already there. So then I talk about, all right, telekinesis. Telekinesis should be, and we've seen these TikTok videos and stuff of people planting the idea, whether those people are lying or not, they're planting the idea in the collective consciousness that telekinesis is going to be one of the few things that we accomplish first. And I'm saying, hey, I have a theory on the storage system. I got to call it a theory, right? I have a theory on the storage system of the DNA, which is, they call it the non-coded DNA or the junk DNA. I have a theory that it's the storage system, but also when you find that key to that treasure chest, which is the storage system, then you will be able to unlock memories and parallel lives. So it will be able to prove parallel lives. It will also be able to prove simultaneous time. And it will also be able, by way indirectly or directly proving time travel. All by way of your presence, your genealogy, your biology, your psychology, you'll be able to time travel. And maybe this is kind of like the road that Tesla was leading on, because when I was going through the prompts and with my priority memory prompts with the AI and going through these trials and these back and forth theories and all of that, right? There was a clear connection between Tesla's findings and my findings today that I just received. Okay? So then this is the golden thing about a particular technique, telekinesis. So what if telekinesis has more to do with the electromagnetic field and the biometric field rather than your intention and awareness of what we initially thought telekinesis is? What if it's more scientific? For example, if everything has frequency, energy, and vibration, we know even this rock, that rock right there, we know this rock is vibrating and exuding a particular frequency, whether positive or negative. Well, what is magnetism? Positive or negative frequencies, right? And based on how magnetism works, if the frequencies and the electricity, positive and negative, align in the proper manner and context, then you have that pulling closer to each other. Y'all see where I'm going now, right? So if, let's say, for example, the rock is vibrating on like a negative a frequency as it pertains to this context of magnetism, and what you're able to do is, through gene regulation, turn on the particular gene within your DNA by way of psychology, by way of intention, by way of awareness, and then focus that energy into your hand by way of Reiki, because we know Reiki, if you visualize a circle in the middle of your palm, you'll be able, with the visualization, to now stimulate that. Even if you, like, with your finger, draw a circle on your hand, stimulate that energy, utilize sunlight, utilize sunlight to assist you with your Reiki, and through gene regulation, then allowing, through awareness of you knowing that the rock is registering at a negative frequency, you can shift your hand, because we all know that all around the human body is our biometric field, our energy, our electricity, all of that. You're able to condense that, focus that onto the rock, and shift it to a positive vibration and or frequency. So now the reason the rock is coming towards you is simply because you are magnetizing it closer to you. Mind blown, crack the code, right? So now we're going to have to dive deeper into this. So let me know your thoughts on this, because I'm diving deeper into the theories. I'm going to post more screenshots, and throughout this video you should see like screenshots and stuff. But y'all, I'm cracking the code. And the fact that God the Source is giving me this, man, I would appreciate, if you made it this far, I would appreciate if you click the link in my bio, you buy our one and only ebook titled God's Plan for Humanity, A Message for the Mountaintop, because I literally included my 3-day course that I've been teaching my students for years, how to become enlightened within 3 days. And I have a GoFundMe and donation links. I would highly ask that, you fund and donate, and this will help me with everything I do, my game, the books, the teachings, and all of that. And wow, bro, let me know how y'all think.